Oh, we start. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. What's happening?
I'm not, it just said recording in progress on this side, so here we are.
There was a slight pause. I'm like, are we doing anything? Okay, anyway, hi everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev.
Good day.
Good day, sister.
What'd you say?
I said good day, sister.
Oh, how are you doing?
Well, as I mentioned before we started recording, and I told you to shut your face,
That's true.
I had mentioned that my nose has been like, I said running, but dripping for like a week. And you said,
I said it's the path of least resistance. You're releasing. That's an easy way to release. So if we can release things from that kind of we could do it from crying, we could do it from vomiting, diarrhea. There's all what kinds of ways to release things. Laughing, that's probably the best one, but maybe you haven't been laughing enough. But to me, a lot of that stuff happens. Like when I had a cough, I knew I would remind myself I wanted to be heard, needed to be seen, and clearing at the same time. And a runny nose, crying. It's like it's just releasing stuff. We don't
well,
have to know.
also, if you've ever noticed this, most people probably have, that when you are suppressing your tears, that your nose will run. So I would say that there are some things I'm processing that I am suppressing and processing. So it's not like I'm just pushing it down and ignoring it, but it's still in there and I'm processing. So it's having its release with dripping down my nose.
Yeah. So processing a little bit at a time, right? We can't do it all at one time.
Yeah.
But it's awesome at the same time because that means you got all the stuff on the surface that's ready to go.
Yeah.
That's the great thing. I heard someone yesterday say something along the lines, we have a tendency to react to things, right? But he says from this moment on, only react to the things that you want in your life.
There you go.
Only react to that. So you don't ever give your attention because you're creating that. You're bringing it into your experience. You're like saying, hey, I'm over here. Come on in. And then some of the stuff you don't want to come on in. So now it says on one of the things on my board, it says react only to that which you want in your experience. And if we remember every time when we start to play those stories in our head, because I've been doing this so I can speak from experience, I can hear the story start to come up and I'm like, no, that's my ego and we love you. But we're going to try to do it just a little differently. So it's like I'm talking to my ego as it's a child and it doesn't need to have the constant attention because it already has the attention that it needs. I see it, I love it, but it's also recognizing that I want to create the things that I want in my experience.
Yeah.
And I've been creating willy-nilly, right? I've been creating from past traumas or other, whatever it is. And so I just am choosing to do it differently. And it's funny when we're ready to change, right? When you want the teacher appears, and the teacher can appear in so many different ways. Of YouTube, from us, it could be you could be scrolling through TikTok, you could be at the grocery store, you could hear a song, see a message on the back of a vehicle, a small child might say something to you. There's like so many limitless possibilities that information comes to us, but it's like it's nice. It makes it more fun, especially when you have an awareness of all that going around you. Then it makes it even more fun. Then you can start seeing the synchronistic events, like maybe you're listening to a reading on YouTube and it says, and while you're on the highway, and I'm like, I just turned on the highway, get out of my car. Or
Yeah.
or I'm sitting in front of the mirror doing some makeup and it says, while you're looking in the mirror, and I'm like, shut your face.
You're like, get out.
But that's the fun stuff, right? That's the fun stuff we can have all the time when we slow down to pay attention to it. Because when we're busy all the time, we don't notice.
I'll tell you real quick, since you just said those, my mom sent me a text and she said, my friend's mom just passed away and they got in their vehicle, or they went to the service and they got in their vehicle and Stairway to Heaven was on the radio.
That's so awesome. Because people don't realize that they can dismiss it. I have dismissed things too many times in my lifetime, and that's our intuition. You're dismissing your intuition, so then it's like you you turn your back on it, you're walking away from it, and it's still talking to you, the same voice that you can hear louder and louder and louder, but you're walking away from it. You're like, no, I'm not going to listen to this right now for whatever reason, because me and my ego have other plans, and you don't know what we want.
Right.
You don't know what we need when it's not even a true story.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, react, I wrote it down, react to only those things you want, or there's other ways to word that. That's what I wrote down. React to only those things you want. What does that look like? What does that mean?
What does that look like if you if something like you see somebody else winning a bunch of money, it's like, get excited about it, react to that, have a reaction, have a like, oh, that's so good, that's so awesome, instead of being like, oh, I don't have that. You know, it's the opposite of that. Or even I think about the kids coming over and just laughing and playing, and then that's the time for me to react. It's to laugh and play. That's my reaction to that, or laugh and play. Reaction is not normal that we normally use in phrases like this, because we've been using it for so long as a reaction to something. You know what I mean? Instead of just being part of the conversation, or I can't remember the other word right now. But react to me wasn't bad, but it's like, it's just finding different things. It's allowing yourself to be your inner child and get excited about things, get giddy, like be celebratory about things, you know, thinking about even the new house you're creating, get excited about those things. Those are the things you want to react to. Or you're looking through and you're finding pictures of something and you see a picture of something you like a lot. Find that you're reacting to it from a space of, I love this. It's beautiful. I can see myself walking through that door right now. I can see myself holding these keys in my hand. I'm having this is happening to me right now. I'm talking to you, but I can see me putting my keys into my front door, and I open up that door, and it's like, what does it look like? Like, this is exciting. I'm reacting, having a reaction to what I'm creating. I'm going to have a reaction to things that I see other people doing that I find joy in. If I see a mom and a daughter just like really like, you know, just so talking to each other so nicely, and they give each other hugs and stuff like that, I'm going to react to that. Maybe I'm going to have a tear, or maybe I'm just going to sit there and smile. You know, comedy, you want to sit and laugh at it. That's my reaction to the comedy. So,
Yeah. So, and in my history, abandonment and abuse with the significant men in my life. So I would struggle as I got older watching movies where there was a father-daughter connection. And it would just be that longing and that desire and that sadness, right? And now, interesting enough, I've been doing what you're saying. Now it's like, that's amazing they have that relationship. Isn't that a
yeah,
blessing that she gets to experience that with her father? So I've been doing that, expressing the joy of what other people are experiencing.
yeah,
And it goes along, your words are react to only those things that you want, or what you want to attract you. The other words I've heard is bless that which you want to receive. Same thing, just worded differently. And
totally.
typically what we are programmed to do, or our normal practice is the longing, the desire, the jealousy, the envy, and those all bring our energy down. So you could be having maybe you're just bumping around in life, and somebody says, oh my gosh, my mom gave me $500, and here you're struggling with your finances, and you're just like, it's just like,
Good for
oh
you.
yeah, whoopie ding dong, I don't give a
Yeah,
shit. So the opposite. So when you're in that type of energy, then of course you're going to continue matching that vibrational frequency and getting what you're focused on, which is the lack, which not having enough, and blessing that which you want, or reacting to that, to only what you want, is that excitement, that joy, that exhilaration, all the things that lift you up. And it may be through watching somebody else, watching them receiving. If they're amazing at receiving goodness, learn from them. let them be your teacher in the sense of watch them, observe them, take notes, implement what they're doing. If they laugh more often than not, laugh more. If they're kind to other people, be kind. Obviously, that's working for them, and it can work for you as well if you implement it. And the opposite is to sit back and play woe is me and victimhood and be in that heavy frequency of not having. And that's what we do. That's the focusing on our reality right now of not having enough. But in reality, you actually have enough and you're capable of getting more.
Absolutely.
So
I like it.
for me, just this morning, actually yesterday morning, this morning, I'm like, okay, same with you, like ego, I'm getting in my head, I'm focusing on what is, I need to shift this, I got to shift this now, I got to get out of my head, I need to shift my mindset, my focus. What's my go-to? Abraham Hicks. Like I turn their video on and listen while I'm getting ready for work, listen as I'm going to work. And here's what happened yesterday. Just yesterday, I was realizing where my mindset was. Listen to Abraham Hicks while I was getting ready for work. Listen to it on my way to work. I got to work, and a coworker came to me and she says, "I have this gift card. I don't eat at this place. You can have it." And then not 2 hours later, my boss comes in and says, "We're invited to go over to so and so's office. It's her birthday. She's having food delivered." So I got a gift card and I got a free lunch within hours of shifting my
Nice.
energy.
Nice. And that's really something to talk about too. So you already got your go-to. Abraham Hicks is your go-to when you're in that space. And that's good because I've listened to other people and it's like really anybody that's listening, really kind of set yourself up. Don't wait till you're, like if anybody's watched Cesar Millan, he talks about the red zone. And he talks about dogs getting into the red zone where they've attacked another dog or there's no stopping them at this point. They've already passed that phase. So it's to catch it ahead of time. And so you're catching it ahead of time. And so I've heard people set up, maybe they'll have like a folder on their phone where they might have kitten videos, puppy videos, babies laughing, stuff like that. They might have a certain type of music that they listen to when they're in this stage, and then they'll have another type of music when they're in the next stage or the next stage. So it's kind of, and really you're getting to know yourself by seeing how can here's your Rubik's Cube, go play with this for a few minutes and you come back and play with everybody else.
Right.
But it's whatever works because it takes us out of that space. I feel like that's the fastest way to get us out of those mindsets. So if you have like a ladder of stuff that you're listening to, it can take you from one space to the next. I've always heard you can't get there from here. You know what I mean? If you're in a shitty mood right this moment, you can't get to bliss in a couple of seconds. Not typically. And if you guys figure it out, you better be letting us know because otherwise that's rude.
Yeah, right.
But otherwise, you typically don't. So it's stages, right? It's steps up on a ladder or rungs on a ladder. So it's one thing at a time. And the next thing you know, you're in a great space. But it's just recognizing those things. And we don't always. I don't always. And I know what helps me. For me, it's like go into a meditation, go sit and breathe. But sometimes I can't get into the meditation from there. So the same thing I'm saying to everybody else, I've got to do for myself. So it's finding the things that are going to slowly bring up my energy where I'm like, because sometimes when you're in a great or you're not in a great mood and you listen to something that you normally love and is positive, uplifting, it's like, this is bullshit right now. Like, this is not resonating with me at all. Put on some Metallica and I'm solid. You know what I mean? That's right. And then maybe I'll step it up a little bit after that. Maybe I'll go to something else a little bit softer. I haven't listened to Metallica forever, but I'm just using those as
Yeah.
references.
Yeah. Yep. It I started off the other day. It was I I saw a post on social and it said sarcastically, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend so I can do all the things I didn't get to do during the week, like laundry and the dishes and the grocery shopping." And so it's all like a downer stuff because they're doing all those necessities instead of going out and playing and having fun. So on Sunday, I was kind of in a mood for certain reasons. And I'm like, okay, I got to get out of this. So then I shifted it from being irritated to contemplating my life. Okay, I can go there. It felt a little lighter, but still a little heavy. So I was like, okay, I'm in this space. It doesn't feel good. My mindset doesn't feel good. What I'm focused on doesn't feel good. So then adding, and I was actually doing laundry. So I was like, okay, we're in the laundry and I appreciate the clothes, and was just working myself through it. And that was the day that I recognized I need to shift my energy. So the next morning, Monday morning, was putting on Abraham. Like I was getting there, but not quick enough. I was still in the, wasn't mucky, but I was just in the energy that wasn't really uplifting. So
It sounded like you were already going through stages as it was.
yeah, just I knew I could do it quicker. And I knew listening to Abraham Hicks would get me there quicker. So that's what I put on. By during Sunday, I was feeling better by the end of the evening. So I did kind of work my way through it, but I also knew there was more. So Monday morning, starting my day out with that. So yeah.
It's
So
not always
acknowledging
easy.
it, right?
Yeah. You know, well, I'll go into it anyways. I was listening to Kyle Cease over, I don't even know when this video was done. And he was talking to this girl that was extremely emotional. And I noticed that I was like wanting to turn it off because I don't want to listen to this.
Yeah.
Like, put on your big girl pants. Don't judge me, guys. Just listen to what I got to say.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt, because I don't have the emotional capacity as of yet. I'm growing, but I didn't have the emotional capacity to listen to that when I was listening to it. And I had to stop and be like, well, I'm going to listen to this because I need to understand why do I feel this way? And I do believe the reason that I felt that way in that moment was from being a child, because we weren't allowed to show or express our emotion,
Yep.
right? And it just gave me goosebumps across the bosom. So to me,
Yeah.
that's like, so I'm recognizing some of these things. Like that's like a mother thing or a nurturing thing, how it could have been. And now it's a story I can change. But it's like I recognize where it was coming from. And I didn't, because I just had the conversation with one of my daughters today about the same thing. She was talking about that. And I said, it's because, and she says, were you like that with me? And I said, I don't think that I was, but I could have been. But from my perspective, I never thought about that. Probably, what do we mostly tell the kids? Get a Band-Aid, go get a Band-Aid. Well,
You're
I
okay.
won't tell you, I already put a Band-Aid on it. Like and it was a reaction from a place of, I didn't know what else to do. So it was a reaction. My mom probably had the same reaction too. She didn't know what else to do, but I picked up that as a reaction as part of my template of how I'm going to work and all the way up to in my 50s. Come on, guys. Like seriously. So I recognize that. And then I start listening to him because I'm like, well, how does a person handle this? Because I don't know. I honestly did not know. I didn't know what to do with that because when I have someone in front of me that's emotional like that, I work with them and everything else. So it's different, but it was just an opportune moment for that to happen. So because I was like going to turn it off and I'm like, you are not turning this off. We're going to find out what he's going to say.
Yeah.
And he listened to her, what she was saying. And he was very nurturing and very loving. And then he also, he said, let's stop and feel that. Let's feel that in that part of the body. Where's that at in that body part? And then had her feel it and then had her explain, some things. And she would say something and I caught the words as he was catching the words, exactly where the next question or the next process was going to be to help elevate her, to get her out of this place that she's been in for years. Do you know what I mean? And so it was it was wonderful. And I got to learn something. So when I say that, and I know we've talked about this recently, when we have triggers, they're always there for a reason. They're always there for such a beautiful purpose. Because if I felt that way, but I didn't understand why I felt that way, because it doesn't seem normal. I wouldn't want anyone to ever feel like that or treat me that way. Like, quit being a puss, go put on some big girl pants or something. You know what I mean? But that's the way I've always had to be. I was always that girl. Are you crying? No, I'm not crying.
Yeah.
That was always me. Never showed any of that kind of stuff. I just didn't. I didn't do that with anybody, but it was like I learned a lot about myself in that moment because it was an opportunity. It was a perfect opportunity. And otherwise I would have been like, I don't want to listen to this because and then turn it off and not grow.
Yeah.
I'll take the growing part. Thank you.
Yeah, usually anything that's irritating you is something to move through because there's a reason. And
Yeah.
then listening to his words on how he nurtured her and got her through it and shifted. I've done the same thing. I've listened to things and I'm just like, in fact, there's a in my mastermind group, the sessions are recorded so we can listen to them later, if you can't attend live. And so I'll listen to them, and there's a person that uh when they start talking, I'm just like, oh my God, just spit it out already. Because it's so many filler words before she gets to her question. And I'm like, freaking say it. What is your question? So, you can imagine me in the morning listening to that. Ah.
But I can imagine a parent or a teacher or someone else doing the same thing, pushing you, hurry up, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Come on. Time's
Yeah.
wasted.
And then recognizing, okay, why are you getting irritated by this person speaking and attempting to articulate her words? Well, I used to be that way. I used to stumble on my words, and it all has to do with confidence and not knowing how to articulate your question, because your brain isn't um it's related to us not being able to connect with what it is we want because we've not had it before, so we don't know how to describe it, or we don't know how to put the words, formulate the words to ask the question. And so I had to take a breath with that and go, you've done that before too, so you just need to chill the fuck out, because it's okay for her to be like that.
Yeah. Oh, look at her grow, right?
Yeah.
But we don't, but that's not the first reaction, but that reaction is so awesome. I honestly, especially after I noticed that the other day, because to me, it was awesome because I just learned so much from that moment.
Yep. So it's a prime example with the way we started. We were not blessing that or reacting to that of which we want. We're reacting to what we don't like. And as long as we stay in that type of reaction mode, we're going to get more of that shows up in that type of vibrational frequency. And when we shift our mindset and soften our response and learn from it, this is the whole thing, is that the self-awareness and acknowledging, wow, I'm really getting irritated by this person speaking, or I'm getting irritated about this woman groveling, and catching it in the moment. That takes such focused self-awareness. I'm in a leadership class, and one of the things the instructor said to us, one of the things she wanted us to work on was communication through email. And she said, go back and look at 5 emails that you sent and read them and see if, when you read it now compared to when you did it, read it now and see if you understand what you wrote. And I sat there and I thought about that. It's something that I learned a while back. It's been a while, about thinking about, like, if I'm sending you an email, how your emotions could get wrapped up into whatever I say or whatever I send you. Not being clear, being vague, anything that could misconstrue the communication. And I am very intentional, because when she said that, I said, you know what, I do that as I do an email. I said, I didn't use intentional. I'm very aware, but I have to say I'm very intentional when I do an email. because I now put myself in a space of acting as if I'm talking to this person as if they don't know anything that I'm talking about, even though I'm responding to an email or just sending an email. Because even in general, when we talk, we have a conversation going in our head, and then we start talking to the person in front of us, and the person in front of us is looking at us like we have two heads because they don't know what we're talking about. Although I'm having the conversation in my head, I've already had half the conversation, and now I'm including you, and you're like, I get this almost every day at work. So I understand that process. So I'm very intentional when I send an email. And the other thing was, what started this practice was to take the ego out of the email. So instead of saying I and me, I did this, or I completed this, it's the process has been completed for. And I tell you, sometimes that's tricky, but for most of the emails I send, I do not take credit in that way. I don't say, well, I did this, blah, blah, blah. I say, this has been done, or this is completed, or look at this. And I leave me out of it other than my signature.
Nice.
You want to practice taking your ego out of something? Practice it with your emails. Wow. What it's some, there's sometimes it's a little challenging, but I figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't do that when I'm talking, but I can do it in email.
But I think that we both do though. Because we've kind of learned along the way. It's I can share stories with someone, or I can say, oh, I heard this, or I can, there's just different ways that you kind of present things to a person so you know not to trigger them, right?
Yeah.
Because those a lot of that stuff, it can be triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So
Communication is interesting.
it totally is. Well, and it totally is, and it's not even, it's we use all this language and stuff like that that's not even a natural state for us, honestly.
Yeah.
I've learned, I don't even know which book. I'm learning. I was reading about channeling or something, and she's talking about, this mother is talking about how she's communicating with her child that has never communicated, has never said I love you until she started channeling her, going into her energy and stuff like that. And then her daughter will tell her I love you. She tells her stuff all the time. So they have a great communication now. So it's learning outside those places. So yeah, it kind of went a little bit off topic a little bit, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just another aspect.
There you go. So many forms. So we'll just come back around and remind you of what we start talking about. Not you, Bev, but the audience. Let me remind you what we were talking about.
Well, I might need that. I don't know.
So as we started out, it's about blessing that which you want to receive, or reacting to only that which you want or want to attract to yourself. And make that a practice. That is also a form of communication. That is a huge form of communication with yourself, because your body is going to be the indicator of the desire, or the longing for, or the jealousy, or the excitement, or the empathy, the compassion. So listen to your body, notice your body when you are observing something that you want or would like to have, and have that self-awareness of practicing sending love to somebody else who is receiving something that you would like to have. So practice, practice, practice. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're all doing. And the more you practice something or implement something that's going to help you feel better or be and do better, then the more you practice it, it just becomes a habit. It becomes part of your being. And then you really know when you're doing something that doesn't feel good, or that lowers your energy level or lowers your vibrational level. So practice, practice, practice is my ending to this. Do you have any final words?
I say celebrate. So celebrate every moment, right?
Yes.
And then when you're saying all that stuff, recognize how much better you feel when you're only reacting or blessing, sending out blessings, or only paying attention to the things that make you feel good. Pay attention to how your body feels.
Yeah.
because the illnesses, the back pain, all this stuff is going to start going away.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
It totally changes everything. If we're celebrating everything instead of being about everything, angst, our bodies are they're gonna let us know immediately that things are going right or that things aren't going very good right now.
Absolutely. Cool. This is Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Be sure to have these courageous conversations with other people and or be the example or be resourceful with the information you're getting. So share the links, share the content, share the wherever you're getting your information, the book, the podcast, a post. So people are out there longing for information like this. They're asking the questions internally for the guidance, and you could be that bridge between them and content like this that is resonating with you or feels good to you. You can find us on many different platforms. So we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Spreaker, and Spotify. So connect with us, share your comments and questions, and we'll come back to them when we can. But that's about what I got for now. Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Have a great night and day.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
That's right.